Hey there, my name's Niandra, and I just wanted to quickly talk about Mercy's perks and how I'm feeling about them. I'm gonna split this video into sections for the perks and begin with some general thoughts. Overall, I'm mixed. There are things about Mercy's perks that I really like, and they grew on me a lot the more I played. I definitely think they're better than a lot of people are saying, but there's also a lot of things that could be improved. The minor perks I'm not stoked with, but the two majors can both be pretty fun and powerful, although Flash Heal is a lot clunkier than it could be. Anyway, one thing you need to know is that characters do not generate perk charge while their ult is active. Now, I get why this is the case. I think it's a fair enough mechanic, but it does mean that Valkyrie can cause these long stretches of downtime, which I personally found a bit frustrating, or maybe flow breaking is a better word to use. I noticed that quite often, when using a decent amount of damage boost, I will be around 90% or so towards my minor perk as I get my first Valkyrie. Initially, what I would do is hold off on Valking until I grabbed a perk, but I started to wonder if this was bait. Like, chain damage boost and healing is almost certainly going to help my team win a fight more than either minor perk, right? Plus, my allies are probably close to their perks, and so a little bit more charge via Valk's damage boost could help everyone get ahead. The synchronicity between perk and ult charge was mostly a conundrum when working towards Flash Heal. It's like, what do I need more, my ultimate right now, or burst healing in a few seconds? There's a years old Mercy tip where towards the end of Valkyrie you should leave as much healing as you can until your ult is finished. The idea being you can actually get ult charge from it and build towards your next one. This is so important to do now when building towards perks. It is noticeably slower if after a one fight you just throw away half a tank's HP worth of points. Also, using damage boost builds both your ultimate and your perk charge a bit slower than healing does, which I've always found kind of annoying. After my team wins a fight and our tank is critical, I feel like I'm fighting with my other support in the downtime for a bit of extra power. Anyway, let's talk about the minor perks. These are Angelic Recovery, which allows you to heal from full health allies, and Winged Reach, which extends your Guardian Angel range. Initially, I was just taking Angelic Recovery every game without really thinking about it. I felt like both perks were niche enough that I didn't particularly care about either. And even now, I don't think they're super exciting or have the wow factor that some other minor perks do. In my mind, by their nature, it was probably going to be hard to tell if either perk was really doing anything. That being said, one thing I realized about Angelic Recovery is that it works in Valkyrie and can make Mercy pretty durable, which is quite nice. It also made falling back to an ally like Widow more comfortable as I'd heal while doing so. Anyway, I then saw a few people on r/Mercy mains and Twitter and Discord who felt that Winged Reach was better than the self-healing perk. So I took a moment to ask myself, is Angelic Recovery really doing anything? There are moments where I notice that my beam target is full and I'm healing off them, but is 15 health per second making a difference? Especially when you consider the support passive and your other healer on top of that. Also, personally, I am very much someone who will push damage boost when my allies are hurt, and I've said in multiple guides, knowing when to do so is one of the more critical Mercy skills. So I started taking Winged Reach instead. As I said, I wasn't particularly attached to Angelic Recovery in the first place. And to be honest, I actually quite like it overall, definitely a lot more than I expected. It's good for getting back from spawn quicker or potentially catching an ally before they go around a corner. There were definitely moments where I noticed I could position more freely or aggressively thanks to the extra range. Like, maybe I would push up just a little bit further than normal because I knew I could fall back. To be honest though, I think whatever minor Mercy perk you choose, it's probably fine. I'm sure there were multiple times where Angelic Recovery would have pushed me above a breakpoint that gave me the opportunity to fall back behind cover, and I'm sure Angelic Reach helped my team win a fight by allowing me to assist someone I otherwise wouldn't have been able to get to. Both of them seem to be on that same, slightly underwhelming power level, so if you have a personal preference, I think that's fine as long as you've given both a chance. I know in Skiesti's video she mentioned that she would have preferred a longer beam range perk instead of Guardian Angel. This I very much do agree with. I would have loved to have seen either that or the beam linger for when LOS is broken to be increased by, say, half a second. Also, I forgot to add this into the script, so I'm just tacking it on at the end. Mercy's healing HUD in Overwatch 2. Sometimes an ally will look full health when they're missing a very tiny amount of HP. Like almost every VOD review I've ever done, there have been 1 or 2 moments where the person doesn't notice their beam target is missing like 5 HP, and I still do it sometimes as well. Anyway, keep this in mind with Angelic Recovery because it might be inactive when you think it should be. Moving on to the major perks, let's start with Chain Boost. Okay, I kinda love this perk as someone who's always really been into pushing damage boost super hard. I had a game on Havana where I had like 4,000 damage amplified in 10 minutes, which was really fun. A niche benefit of this one is that if I'm behind cover and my ideal damage boost target isn't in sight, I can maybe do an indirect line to them while keeping myself safe. Also, I mentioned earlier that Mercy gets more ult charge for healing than she does for damage boosting, however blue beaming 2 targets at once can sorta level things out. Plus that's 2 allies also getting slightly more ult charge. When I do find myself healing allies for long periods, I'll try to flick onto damage boost here and there for half a second if someone else is nearby, just to try and improve the uptime where I can. Now this perk can conflict with how Mercy plays and positions. If you have someone like Sojourn or an Ashe who's playing from an off angle, Mercy thrives from pocketing them rather than playing with the rest of the team. However, I think for most players, especially those not at the highest level, this doesn't matter too much. Plus, most major perks don't have 100% uptime. Even if you're hanging out a lot with your hit scan, there will be a ton of moments where your team comes together due to the choke pointy nature of most maps. Also, do you think the average Quickplay user cares about brawl versus poke comps or whatever? No, they're pressing W down a straight line while they watch a video essay on their other monitor about a PS2 game you're never gonna play. The way I see it, Valkyrie thrives off multiple allies playing together, and rarely do I have a game where I feel like my ult couldn't be utilized in some way. So think of Valkyrie, then think of a mini Valkyrie, then think of a mini Valkyrie, then think of a mini Valkyrie, and you have chain boost. Moving on, let's talk flash heal. At first, I really did not like this perk, and the implementation was off-putting in multiple ways. My first match with it was such a mess. Res was on cooldown when I bought the perk, so I didn't immediately have it, then I had to res someone again, then when I went to use flash heal they got fucking anti-naded during the animation, so it didn't even do anything. My next few games were all just kinda like this, and I'd already had good luck with chain boost, so I was like, I'm just gonna put this aside for now. Eventually, I had a few comp games in a row where my damage amplified each game was really good, like consistently 5,000 in 11 minutes solo level, but we were still losing. So I thought, fuck it, let's experiment with flash heal again, and I ended up kinda loving it, which again, as someone who is so passionate about damage boost, I kinda didn't expect. I will say though, flash heal could definitely be better implemented. The cooldown being tied to res can lead to some interesting decision making, but it also adds a lot of limitations as well. It is frustrating to flash heal someone, have it not really do anything, and then not be able to res them when they die. Sometimes I felt like I got punished for experimenting with flash heal and using it in unconventional ways. Plus, because the cooldown of res doesn't reset when Mercy respawns, neither does flash heal, which is a very minor annoyance. So why did I end up liking it? Well, for starters, it's the only Mercy perk that isn't just something she gets during Valkyrie. Like, it actually addresses a weakness people have always talked about. It's the only perk I would notably miss when a new round or game started. I soon noticed that in the matches where I took flash heal, my damage amplified per 10 minutes was still really high. It wasn't as crazy as with chain boost, but still way beyond 2,000 per 10 minutes. Picking flash heal does not mean you are a heal bot or a heal focused Mercy. In fact, for me, it was kind of the opposite. You can activate flash heal while damage boosting, so if your ally is playing aggressively, they can provide immense pressure without needing to fall back. It is pretty nice that you don't need to keep your beam attached after activating flash heal. If I'm pocketing a hit scan and my tank or other DPS needs help, I can flick my beam onto them, then immediately go back to blue beaming Sojourn or whatever. I also like that flash heal gives you a small chunk of ult charge since res doesn't, and occasionally it can like push you into Valkyrie, which is a nice combination. Also, flash heal does work in Valkyrie, but only on the main target. Because Valk gives Mercy double beam length, you can sometimes pop ult and flash heal to save someone far away. Now, this might be a bug that gets patched, but because flash heal's cooldown only starts after the animation finishes, you can actually use it then res someone before it goes off to use both. This perk requires a lot of restraint though. I have definitely lost my team multiple fights because I did not have res ready, and I don't blame anyone who just sticks to chain boost because they don't want to deal with this. It can be so tempting to just use the ability on anyone who's critical, especially with tanks in the beginning when it's still a novelty. However, keep in mind, flash heal restores 150 HP, which Mercy can do herself in just under 3 seconds. As time went on, I began to gauge when to flash heal and when to just let someone fall back for manual healing. I could be completely wrong here, but a theory started developing in my head. I think chain boost might generally be better, but flash heal will end up with a better win rate overall across the general player base. The thing is, Overwatch 2 and 5v5 specifically is so heavily based around the tank, and helping them has never been where Mercy thrives. Lastly, I just want to give some thoughts on perks in general. I noticed that before the update went live, there was a lot of hero-specific communities that felt like their character was getting screwed over compared to everyone else, which I've tried to keep in mind. That being said, obviously not all perks are completely equal, right? I think it's unfortunate that there's a few instances of already strong characters getting strong perks while niche characters got niche ones. I'm not super upset over this though, since you can't expect the devs to get everything perfect, and they've at least said they're willing to change things. Overall, I really like the perk system, and I feel a lot more happy with Overwatch now than I have for a while. Also, earlier I was talking about how you don't get perk charge during Valk, right? I know that comparing characters one-on-one is not a good idea because there's like a million different factors, but like, Tracer's ultimate is essentially instant, so she has no downtime at all, whereas Wreckable Mines last 20 seconds and he won't get charged from mine damage but can still build it with his primary fire or other abilities. I don't know if this is something you could ever make truly equal between all characters, or even if the devs would want it to be. However, a few years back I was a pretty big advocate for giving Mercy the ability to cancel Valkyrie early by pressing the ult button again. This idea sorta popped into my head again, although if you gave this to Mercy you probably would need to give it to Wrecking Ball, Symmetra, you know, all the characters with long ultimates, which could easily become a headache. So this probably is just something you need to adapt to. Anyway, that is all from me, thank you so much for watching and have a nice day!